Welcome to Late to Bloom, the podcast where we talk about spirituality, philosophy, and personal growth. In today's episode, I want to talk about that I got diagnosed with PCOS, which stands for Polycystic Ovary Syndrome, and it was kind of the answer I didn't knew I wanted, or the answer I didn't knew I needed. And I have always had those. I will go into it. I promise. So first we need to start with a content warning. If you don't want to listen to menstruation and reproductive health and stuff like that, or disorder for people with ovaries and periods. If you don't want to listen to that, then don't. Just skip to the next video or another podcast that might be better suited for you. Also, another trigger warning, I will talk about weight and weight problems in this episode. So if that is triggering, if you have any sort of disordered eating and stuff like that, you might want to proceed with caution or skip this episode. I also want to remind you that I now have a new website with merch and behind the scenes and another podcast that is for members only, and the membership starts on free. The lowest tier is actually free, or the basic tier is free. So you really have no excuse not to join if you want to see those behind the scenes and those hidden gems. I put only on there because it's literally free, the basic. So, and if you have been a member of any of my other platforms or websites before, you are now not a member of this website, because I want everyone to truly want to be there. So I need expressed consent. So I haven't moved any people from my old website to my new website, so you have to sign up again. So please do that if that is something that sounds interesting. And the website is, of course, as always, trixjoyce.com, and that is TRIXJOYCE.com. trixjoyce.com. Now let's get into the mess, because it was really a mess, and this happened the 27th October 27th of 2025. So it was a little while ago now, because I have been adjusting to the new medication and stuff, so I haven't been able to post a lot. But what basically happened was that I got to the ER because of losing blood. I was bleeding for almost 4 weeks, and before that I had 2 weeks with nothing, and before that I was bleeding for 5 weeks. So it was 5 weeks constantly bleeding, 2 weeks nothing, and then 4 weeks of bleeding again. So I was at the ER, and I have also been to the what's it called in English? OBGYN? Is that how it's pronounced? I don't know. But the gynecologist, I have been there several times the last couple of months, because I have not have my period, and then I have a little bit, and then I have not have it again, because, and they have always said the same thing. It's because I have complex trauma, and that can affect the period and stuff like that. So they didn't really take it seriously. But now when I was on the ER, they saw I was a little bit pale, and I was very tired, and I couldn't really walk that well, so they put me in a wheelchair because I was so tired. And yeah, they had to do another exam to check my ovaries and my uterus and all of that, and I dissociated the entire time, and because of trauma and sexual trauma. So that was fun, but not at all fun. And they found out that I have PCOS, which stands for Polycystic Ovary Syndrome. So I was born with that, and I have never had a regular period in my entire life. And I didn't know that that wasn't normal. I thought just some people had irregular periods, and that was that. But it seems to be not normal, or at least not the norm. So that is one symptom of it all. I also have a lot of fat on and around my belly, which is a classic symptom of PCOS. And I don't even eat that much. I eat moderately, and I have an moderately active lifestyle, but now I know it's hormonal, and it's not because of bad living habits, it's because of this syndrome. I'm actually more healthy than most of my friends when it comes to food. So I have always been a little bit frustrated with my weight, and frustrated with having a lot of belly fat, because I don't really eat that much, and I move my body intuitively. Intuitively. Speaking is hard today, okay? I move my body just like everybody else. Let's stick with that. So what PCOS means is that I have too much testosterone, and also too much male hormones. It's the thing that testosterone and male hormones. I have too much of that, so I'm practically infertile if I don't get this fixed, which doesn't really bother me that much. But I want to live a good life. I want to have manageable periods and not that much overweight. So I need to have this fixed regardless of my fertility. So yeah, even though I don't really care about biological children, I just want to live a decent life without these some symptoms. So trying to record the second part of this podcast many months later. Actually, I began to record this podcast in November of 2025, and now it's March 2026. And it has honestly taken me this long to produce this episode, because it is a hard topic to talk about. Infertility, overweight, being overweight, having facial hair because you have too much testosterone in your body. All women have testosterone as well as men, but I have too much, so that makes me clinically infertile. And it's hard. I don't want children, I don't want any biological children, but it's hard to live with this disorder. I had to just sit with my diagnosis for a while, and I had to process it because I began recording just days after getting the diagnosis, and I realized that I needed more time to process it. And also this has very much to do with the fact that I am non-binary, that I am gender fluid. It is dysphoric to have this disorder as well. You could interpret it as it's not being dysphoric, because if I have more testosterone, then I maybe perhaps become more male, and I am assigned female at birth, so maybe that makes me more androgynous. But I guess that's a valid interpretation, but it makes me uncomfortable since it gives me facial hair, and I don't like facial hair. And it also reminds me that I am assigned female at birth too much when I get periods after half a year without it, or even if it's light. And it gives me symptoms of a period every month, but not the actual period. It is dysphoric in a sense, and that's also why I haven't finished this recording until now. But let's go back to PCOS and talk about the syndrome. Other symptoms aside from weight gain around the abdomen and weird irregular periods is that my ovaries looks and acts differently from a person without this syndrome. It produces too much hormone, so I don't get a regular period. The hormone, which is excess of testosterone, can do that you also grow a bit of facial hair. I almost always pluck the hair on my face, and it's very annoying, and I have so much complex or insecurities about that. I also did not have I didn't have periods for several months, or at some point I didn't have it for 2 years, and then I had light periods for a while, and then like I said before, I had a lot I had for several weeks, so that wasn't fun. And one thing I also want to say is that I was always so fascinated by people who could track their periods, because I never could. And people who said, I had this app and it tracks my period, and it's always come on the date and the day I expect it. I never could understand that, because it was never the case for me. Now back to my weight again, since that is the most sensitive subject and topic in all of this. I have been judged so much because of my weight, both offline and online. When my ex-partner abused me, I wasn't that big as I am now. I wasn't big at all. But I had a little chubby belly even back then, actually. And people have teased me online and offline, and I now know why they did that. It doesn't excuse it, of course. I don't agree with what they said, but now I have a label for what's wrong, and even though that's not a basis to or an excuse to tease other people or to like bully other people for their weight, I as a person know what the cause was, and that makes it a lot easier for me, and I feel a lot more at peace because of that. But I will also say here that you should never tease or bully someone about anything, because you don't know their backgrounds. You don't know why they looked or act why they do the way they do. And I mean, some acts can be weird, but as long as they're not hurting anyone, you shouldn't bully them over that. And it could be an entire diagnosis. It could be something like PCOS or whatever it is. You're not entitled to know what's quote unquote wrong with others. You just shouldn't tease them or bully them regardless of what's quote wrong with them. Also, the obsession of thin bodies and about being healthy, quote healthy, is very ableist. Not everyone can have or have the privilege of having a healthy body, and it shouldn't be something that is stigmatized. I don't think so. I think it's ableist to say that everybody needs to be 100% healthy. Of course, we want to live good lives, but even someone with a disability or even someone that is a little bit bigger in their body mass can live a good life. I think it's very weird that our society have an obsession with thinness and with having thin bodies. It's nothing wrong, just to be clear, to have a thin body. It's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing bad with that, as well as it's nothing bad with having a bigger body. It's nothing, all bodies are fine, okay? Also, who decides what looks good, what is attractive? I mean, I think bigger bodies are just as attractive. I'm honest about that. I think bigger bodies are just as attractive as smaller bodies. I think all bodies are attractive. And I don't know if I'm an outlier or a weird person for thinking that, but I tend to be more drawn actually to a little bit bigger bodies. And it's not a preference. I could definitely be with someone who are smaller, but I tend to be drawn to bigger bodies, and it's fine to be the opposite of that, to be drawn to smaller bodies. But why is the default that everybody should be thin? I think it's so annoying. Oh, so okay, this podcast episode wasn't meant to be the one about body positivity. I will most definitely talk more about body positivity in another episode, but in this episode I wanted to focus on PCOS, and now I think I'm over talking about it, so I will end it here. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you and hear you in my next episode. Bye.